Okay, so they're probably going to give you an f of x instead of making it a y equals, like when I did the first sketch there and I wrote out the first one, I went y equals square root of x. We don't have to do a y, we can do f of x. And then we are using function notation. So f of x is equal to square root of 12x minus 20. And then they're going to say something like find f of 3. All right, we ought to be really good with that notation, right? Because it's just good old-fashioned function notation. It doesn't matter what the function is. The concept here is take this 3, plug it into the f function. Okay, so no matter what it looks like. So to work this out, then I would take a 3, I would plug that in, so I'm going to have square root of, you got to follow order of operations underneath, 12 times 3 minus 20. 12 times 3 is going to be a 36. Notice each line, I keep the radical sign on top of it because I haven't taken the square root yet. Right now, all I'm doing is arithmetic order of operations underneath. 36 minus 20 is going to get me down to a 16. Square root of 16 is 4. It doesn't matter whether it's a positive number. It doesn't matter whether it's a negative number. All right, let's do another example and use a negative number. Maybe something like f of x is equal to a negative square root of 9 minus 3x. And then they ask you to find, maybe say an f of a negative 5. Okay, so you're taking a negative number and plugging it in. You're not going to assume that you're going to write down not a real number because you don't know what's going to happen when you take the negative 5 and plug it in. Just because you're plugging in a negative 5 does not mean that what's underneath has to be a negative answer. So I'm going to take negative 5, plug it in for the x. So we'll keep the negative that's on the outside. Square root 9 minus 3 times the negative 5, replacing that x with the negative 5. Okay. However you want to think about this, this is going to be a negative 15. You got a subtraction right there. So basically that turns into a 9 plus a 15. The negative on the outside still just stays. 9 and 15 is 24. All right, now on this one, you're going to have to read the direction because in this first section, though, they're probably going to say round to the nearest hundredth, round to the nearest tenth. Okay, because we haven't learned how to simplify them yet. From high school, you may know how to break this up and simplify the radical, okay, but pay attention to the directions. If it says simplify, yeah, you would simplify it using radicals. But if somewhere in the directions it says round to the nearest hundredths, that's indicating to you, hey, grab a calculator. All right, so let's say it does say round to the nearest hundredths, so I'm just going to say round hundredths. All right, I'm going to write calculator underneath there because if you see that in the directions, they wouldn't be telling you to round to something if they didn't want you to use that. All right, so it's going to be about negative 4.90. So you just plug it in your calculator, it's going to spit it out and go out to the hundredth spot. Okay, so right now, this first section, you are going to be using a calculator. Later on, we won't because we will go to simplifying these. Okay.